Any minute now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Reseller Show, session number, where are we, 19. My name is Andy Lawrence.
And my name's Kev Blackburn.
And we're ready to go live on YouTube on Monday evening, as we are every Monday at 7 p.m. I hope you're doing fine and dandy. How's your holiday, Kev? You bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go?
Yeah, it was really, really good. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great to be away for the week. And it was actually a good experiment in terms of the business as well, just to see where potential bottlenecks are. So it was all really good. Plus, I absolutely love the place. So if anybody ever gets a chance to go out to Morzine area, the French Alps, please do, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, I caught some of your Instagram posts. It looked absolutely stunning out there with the snow and the lights and everything. Certainly looked very magical. So I'm sure it was good fun. I didn't see much skiing going on, but I suppose it's hard to share that when you're flying down a hillside.
Oh well, I mean, for me, I'd never seen a mountain in real life. As silly as that sounds, like you see it on postcards and you see it like on photos and stuff, but when you're actually there. And the mountain, it's quite an incredible sight. So I just wanted to say thanks to Matt last week for sitting in. I did catch a little bit of it, so yeah, it was good to see Matt on the show. So a big high five to Matt, and yeah, it was a great show. So great job to you two last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was great fun, and yeah, Matt did a fantastic job. It was a good laugh, and we chatted about some good subjects. So yeah, it was all went well in the end. So yeah, it was pretty good. So what are we going to be chatting about this evening? I know it's all been a bit short notice getting this cracking. You're just literally back in the country. Do we have a few things to be chatting about this evening?
Well, I mean, for me, it'd be. It was great from a business point of view. It was great for me to be away for the week, and this is quite a good experiment for everybody in terms of their businesses. Just to see what breaks when you're not about.
Test it,
because just to test it. Like obviously, you don't have to leave the country to test your business. You could just like not do anything for a day. I know for me. I was really enjoying the time off, so I purposely didn't go onto my Slack. I didn't speak to the team. I've got a manager in place now, so it was actually quite good for him just to manage everything the way he would. So from a business point of view for you guys, if you're ever if you want to do a worthwhile experiment, I learned an awful lot. That's why I've been at the office today pretty much all day. It's been great. Apart from that, what's been happening?
Well, just the usual, really. I mean, I've been getting cracking with, still continuing with the wholesale domination course students and helping them out and bringing my course to them. So I've been quite busy working with those guys and doing all that sort of stuff. And trying to, keep everything ticking over with the business. There's always a juggling act, as you know, Kev, trying to keep on top of everything and juggle a few different balls at the same time. But, it was all good, always fun, and preparing for things for the Reseller Summit as well coming up, and that's going to be upon us very shortly as well. I've only got a few weeks. I'll be jetting off to South Africa for a little while, and when I come back, literally as soon as I come back, we've got the Reseller Summit where I get to hang out with you as well, which will be good fun. I'm looking forward to doing that, and so it's going to get busy very quickly, I think, to be honest with you. So just getting done, another few more weeks of the wholesale domination course, and making sure everyone's getting as much value from that, and then almost straight away off to South Africa, then into the online arbitrage summit. So it's just gonna one thing's gonna flow into another, which is how I like it. I like to be busy and to be helping as many people as possible. So lots of fun things to be looking forward to coming up. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to the summit. It should be great fun, and yeah, really looking forward to meeting everybody there as well. There's going to be a lot of people there. There's going to be I don't know how many speakers that are there, but it should be really good to listen to everybody. And I'm certainly keen to listen to what you've got to say there, Andy. And then there's loads of other speakers there, so really looking forward to it. But if you guys are joining us live this evening, I believe I can see the chat. If you've got any questions, if you've got any topics that you want us to talk about, I can see Arbitrage Superstars is in. Good to see you guys. And Simon's in again, and Danny's in. So good evening. Tough finding you both tonight. So I'm hoping the YouTube. It would be good to let us know if you guys were notified, because it should be public out on the YouTube channel. So do let us know if you were notified, because we're trying to use the YouTube platform. So hopefully it should be easy to find us, not harder to find us.
Yeah, I must admit, I've just had a quick look on my phone. I can't see the live video, so that's slightly troubling. But if you've got it there, Kev, then that's the main thing. Anyway.
Well, I can see it on the YouTube. I can't see it on the channel, but I can see it on the actually on our dashboard.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. Okay. Fair enough. That's fine. Maybe I can change that over there then pretty quickly. But yeah, I should be able to get the chat up, hopefully, one way or another.
Here we go. Just changed it to public, so hopefully we should be good.
That might have been something.
Not entirely sure why it didn't change, but
yeah, I've got it. I can see it now.
Awesome. So yeah, if you guys have got any now we're up and we're running. If you guys have got any questions or any topics, we're quite happy to talk about anything tonight. So yeah.
Yeah, excellent, good. Yeah, I'm on it. I found it now. I'm caught up. I can see the chat. Evening, Simon. Danny's in, and Chris as well, as always. Good to see everyone in. But yeah, this we're still getting things tweaked with the YouTube side of things. It's a new thing for us, streaming live on YouTube as opposed to the Webinar Jam platform, and doing it that way. It's been interesting to try and do that. We still need to iron out a few more things, but I think we're getting there slowly, trying to figure out all the different live and private settings. But it defaults to private, which we're trying to sort out. But yeah. Hope everyone's having a good week and making some good money as always, and cracking on with your own businesses. Yeah, let us know what's been occurring in your reselling week this week. Any wins you've had? Any good sales and any good buys you've had? It's always good to hear what's been going on with you guys. John's in as well. How you doing, John? Glad you could make it.
Yeah, good to see you, Jonathan. It's great to see you guys. Have you found, Simon's just mentioned, have you found that the penny price cutters are out there in force so far this year? That's good. This is a good topic to talk about.
It'll only serve to wind me up, Simon. I imagine. But to be honest with you, I haven't found them any more or less than usual. I think it's pretty steady. I don't know, you probably see it more from your side, Kev, with the online arbitrage, because I think the percentage of undercutters are a little bit more on that side of things. I'm doing a little bit less of that these days, just through time. Really, I haven't got as much time to be doing that. With wholesale, it's a little bit less. Obviously, you still get it, but it's not as much on each listing. So I don't think I've noticed any more or less than usual. But what are you finding, Kev?
Yeah, so this is a great topic to talk about, because for one, the general rule for all sellers: please just match each other. There's no need to. In fact, you're actually only hurting yourself if you try to beat other people, because the reality is, as soon as you put your repricer, whatever repricer you're using, as soon as you put that to beat anybody, what's going to happen is, like, let's say you beat me, then I'm going to match you again, and then you beat me again, and then I'm going to match you again, and then before you know it, we race down to the bottom and nothing happens. So, you know, that should definitely be match for your settings in your rules. Now, I use Repricer Express, and I've used it since the July/August of 2015, and it's a great dashboard. It allows you to see lots of things going on there, such as prices at minimum, your items at minimum, your items at max, how many items you're repricing. It's really, really quite good. And one of the things, talking of penny battlers, one of the metrics that I look at a lot is what products do we have at minimum? Because obviously, if our products are at minimum, then the chances are, if the buy box is below our minimum, we're not selling any products, and that's obviously a concern. It all really depends. If for example, like we set our minimums at 30%, so if somebody's willing to take 10%, then obviously we're just going to let that person sell out, and then over time the price should come back up to us if our analysis has been done correctly. But having said that, it's very important for me, from like a bird's eye view of the business, to see that metric, just to see how many products do we have actually sat there at mint. And it's one of those things that is such a frustrating thing. I don't know why it happens. I don't know if it's inexperience. To tell you the truth, I can't remember what the default setting is when you do sign up to something like Repricer Express. Does it just default to beat other people, which then maybe causes new sellers to beat other people? I've no idea. I don't think so. I think when you sign up to Repricer Express, it just gives you an option to set up your first rule. I don't know. I don't know why it happens and why it occurs, but I think the moral of the story is if we can share with as many people as we possibly can, shout on all Facebook groups, everywhere that you hang out, just say to everybody, take an action today, go into your repricer and match everybody else. And like, do that. Share screenshots of you doing that, and then we'll find out who's playing this game.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea, because I think you've hit the nail on the head, Kev. I think it's just lack of experience and lack of understanding. And now, if you have like as an exercise, look at all the worst offenders with penny undercutting, you'll see the accounts are relatively new and have got relatively small amount of feedback. And that to me shows me that the majority are just new, don't understand how it works, and have just the wrong strategy on Amazon. They're doing themselves an injustice, and everyone else around them as well. So I think it's just a lack of understanding, a lack of education. So the more we can get the word out that you will make more money and you'll make a lot more friends by matching, then it's going to be good for everyone and better for everyone. So definitely agree with that one. And also, I don't think it's a default setting on Repricer Express or anything like that, because I think when you get started, you don't necessarily just go straight into a repricer. I think you'd probably you
have to set the rule, don't you?
Yeah, and also, I think you'd probably be selling on Amazon for quite some time before you scale to the point where you need a repricer as well. So, I think it's just the newbies that are coming on and either doing it manually, doing it themselves, and just don't have the right understanding of what's happening in the business.
And one thing I just wanted to add there, Andy, this is something that I'd highly recommend you guys to do, is when you find a profitable product and you're doing your analysis and you're thinking to yourself, right, this is a good buy, I'm going to buy this, then the buy box price that you see at that moment in time, like let's say today, the buy box that you're purchasing today, if you're listing it into your Amazon Seller Central, because you're purchasing it to sell it, then by the time you've purchased it and it's been delivered, you've packaged it, or your prep service or whatever, they've got it to Amazon, the buy box may have fluctuated, it may have changed. The chances are it will be different. And there could be a scenario, let's say, for example, you see a price today at $19.99. So you purchase it, you're like, nice one, great winner. But by the time it's got to Amazon, it might now be $21.99 or it might be $22.99. So you come on in and undercut everybody. So that could happen if you're not aware of this. So one of the things that we certainly do when we list products, we actually list a lot higher than the buy box, just because we know as soon as it then becomes live, our reprice is going to take hold. And then it's going to match wherever we are, because you don't want to be in a scenario where you know that everybody's getting a really good return on investment, 50% or something, and then you come in at 30% because that was the buy box at the time, and now you undercut everyone and everybody loses. So just look at that on your own products just to see what happens there.
Yeah, it's a really good tip, Kev. Actually, I've had that many a time where products are going live and the price is actually it's nice to see, but yes, it's increased in the time it's taken to go in. And yeah, if you're not careful, you can be, as a result, pulling the price back down again. So yeah, really important to do that. And I love the idea with the repricer as well. If you can set your prices just way above, just have like a set amount of money, you know, because firstly, it's a lot quicker as well. Your processing can be done a lot quicker if you're not manually deciding and figuring out a price on your own for each item. That takes time because you've physically got to engage your brain and say, right, that price is there, that's price, okay, I'm going to go for that price. That's all an amount of time to do that for every single item. But if you, as you say, if you just set way above, put that in and let your repricer bring it back down for you, you're going to get your processing a lot quicker as well. And maybe if you're a used book seller, for example, you know, and you're processing a lot of volume because each individual item has got to go in and yeah, you get condition grade each item and quite often you might decide on the price. If you use a repricer, then you can do the same thing. Just bung everything in at a higher price and let your repricer get it back down to hit your rules, and then that's one less job you've got to do. So yeah, big bonus there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a really in-depth conversation today actually about Repricer Express, the different scenarios and things, and I think it's worthwhile definitely for you guys that are potentially being hit by penny under battlers and things to look at like the automations that Repricer Express have available. There's different automations that you can set. So for example, let's say if you've got stock now over 30 days or 60 days or whatever you ultimately set your stock at, or if you've not hit the buy box, there's many different scenarios, and Reprice will allow you to do specific automations depending on if a criteria, whatever the logic is. So there's definitely a lot to learn there, but like I do, I have a weekly report now. I've had a weekly report since I started, actually. It's just evolved over time. But one of them is definitely what is the status of Repricer Express, because I need to know those numbers from a big picture. You need to know, because if you are increasing of products at minimum, so if let's say, for example, our minimums are increasing and increasing, I can then predict that we're getting towards an issue here. We're going to drop in sales because we're purchasing products that haven't got enough buffer. So one of the things that I do every single month and every week is I see what the average margins that we're actually purchasing at as well, which gives me an idea of are we actually going to be working to our buffer as well. So these are the things that I would definitely recommend you guys to come up with some type of report that works for you. I have my own report and I look at different metrics and things, but the best thing is just being aware, like capturing this data, and then you can ask some questions of how you can improve your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to do that because if you're especially once you get to the point where you're at scale, you really need to understand exactly what's going on to make sure things could easily go awry and you don't notice it. So yeah, reports are important to just keep on top of exactly the health of your business and how you're doing for profit and everything else like that, because so as once you scale up, it's important to keep a tight grip on those numbers for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Simon made a point about penny undercutters, saying everyone who sells deal sheet should remind their subscribers in a nice way, of course, and that was in reference to the fact that you can share and not necessarily undercut. So we should have a campaign. We should make a campaign and make everyone that has any influence on people selling deal sheets, on making software and stuff like that, and have a national match the buy box day or something like that. So everyone.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I think we've got an idea here, Andy. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I think we could create reseller shows, national holiday days, where wherever the dates are. So what's this? We're on March the 4th. March the 4th could be our reseller show national repricer match day, where everybody, we try to get everybody that has Facebook groups. We've got Chris in with a great Facebook group. Everybody who has any type of audience with resellers, everybody just promotes match, and then who knows? We may start a bit of a movement here.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Hashtag match don't snatch.
Yeah, and Chris mentioned there, I really appreciate that, Chris. If you did want to try Repricer Express, you can use Kev30. But I mean, one of the things that I haven't actually spoken to Andy about, but one thing that we definitely need to do as time goes on, a part of the Reseller Show, is try to approach these people that provide services for us and see if we can get something for you, a part of the Reseller Show. So like there's Kev30 in terms of the Repricer Express now, but we can definitely approach them and see if we can get a Reseller Show 45 or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure once we've get a bit of weight behind the channel, we can start getting some decent deals for you guys, because that would be really useful, wouldn't it, to find some extra special discounts. That'd be well worth doing. But I like that. I like the idea that definitely we should have some campaigns going and see if we can get the word out. That would be good fun.
Yeah. Well, great topic there. It was great to talk about that. It's an important thing to talk about. Like there could be something going on that we're not aware of. Amazon just coming in and just lowering the price, and who knows? Conspiracy over here.
You never know. So what something that I've been meaning to ask you, Kev, do you in your volume with your amount of stock coming in and out of your own personal business, do you notice the January, February, March lull particularly, or have you got enough items across the board where it levels out? You've got enough areas and different categories that it evens out, or do you still notice a big dip in sort of turnover in Jan, February, and March?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been, up until this point, I've been building my business successfully year on year, which has been great. But I'm no Superman. I can't continue. I can't prolong that Q4 into January. So I mean, for us, we obviously, like everybody, we take a hit. But the way I've always tried to word it is Jim Rohn, great guy. You should definitely check out some Jim Rohn. Superb speaker a few years ago now. Unfortunately, did pass away. But what he used to say was, business is like the seasons. Like after winter, you get summer. After summer's always going to come. Winter's always going to come. Spring's always going to come. So after the summertime, where we have Q4, which is an amazing time, you're always then going to go into that autumn/winter time. And when you're in the winter time, what it allows you to do, it allows you actually to reflect and see how you can now learn from the things that happened in the previous 3 months. Like in Q4, it's like madness. Like there's so much going on all the time. There is, you're shipping more than you're sleeping. You're at work all the time, and everybody's getting lots of work done. So when it gets to January, it might slow down, but it's an opportunity for you to look at how you can optimize and grow your business further. So one of the things that we definitely do is we look to what I call plant seeds, which is something like bring new people into the business, look at different categories. Can we get out into, if we've not sold clothes before, can we now get into clothes? If we've not sold electronics before, can we now get into electronics? If we only have 5 wholesale suppliers, can we now get 8 wholesale suppliers? So this is the time of year that you can really start to grow your business. So although you do get a dip, what happens is you go as wide as you possibly can. You may introduce a couple of new ideas and a couple of new people, a couple of new strings to the business, and then come Q4 or Q3, Q4, you really reap the rewards of what you've done. So one of my big things this year, Andy, is I needed to bring a manager in to help me not just manage our Amazon operations, but also continue to focus to grow the operations a lot further, because I'm only one person. You know, you're only one person. You can only do so much. And if your focus isn't on growing your business, it's obviously not going to be growing. It's just going to be maintaining. So I'm really, really glad that I got a great guy in just before Christmas. He's been with us now for a good couple of months now, and we're already getting huge amounts of return on investment. And so I'm super excited for what's going to happen later on in the year when things do pick up. But just like everybody, we obviously do experience the low periods. But this is where one of the things that you got to think about is the different holidays that come along. You know, it might be Q1, but there was Valentine's Day. You know, we're coming up towards Easter right now. You know, these are periods of the year. If you diversify into maybe different categories, you bring in new forms of sourcing. You maybe not looked at automated sourcing before. Now you try it. You know, all these things can continue to grow your operations, your business in terms of width, but take advantage of the different seasons throughout that see you through, basically.
Absolutely. It's a great idea. A great ethos for, you know, making use of that quieter time and, planting seeds in your business and growing more areas, more channels, and sort of going wider as well. You know, maybe see if you can find wholesale suppliers while you've got time, maybe look into that. You know, maybe you might be interested in private label and start making some inquiries into how that works, start building that up, doing some research, so on and so forth. You know, that means you've always got some other plans that you're working on and pushing forward with. So I would definitely suggest that as a good way. I mean, as we always say, there's always a caveat that you don't want to take on too much, but always having something else working on in the sidelines to enhance and grow your business is important. But as long as I got enough focus on your core business to make sure you're continuing to make money and grow, but at the same time look at other avenues to expand, but without taking your eye off the ball, because those shiny object syndrome, it's easy to get distracted and to be looking at too many things at once and then realize you're not putting enough effort into the key core business and not actually growing that enough. So it's a bit of a balancing act sometimes, isn't it? And it's certainly from my point of view, keeping my focus is always something I have to keep in check and make sure I'm paying attention to, because it is easy to get distracted with take on too many tasks and water down your key focus. So it's always it's an ongoing battle, isn't it, Kev?
Oh, it is. I mean, I've definitely experienced that at the start of this year, taking on too many different projects. But in my case, what I found was I think I hired too many people at once. I think that was the issue. I brought a couple of assistants in, I brought Steve in, and there was a lot of new things happening all at once. So everybody needs attention. So it was like, although I found it was well worth going through the experience to learn where the limits are. But like Andy says, you've got to be conscious of if you don't complete. Like, one of the things that I really try to focus on as much as I possibly can is complete what you start. Yeah. Like, finish what you start. Like, whatever you start, come up with an idea where you're finished, and then don't stop until you've got to that point. And until then, be really, really strict on saying no to as many things. You know, so because it's very easy to be obviously, why don't I get into private label now? And then you start going down there, and then it's like, oh, wholesale, that's where it to be. And then you start going down here, and then you never really get anything going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. If you are interested in doing one of those things, do one of those things. Don't do all of those things. If you're doing OA at the moment, or RA, or both, don't then try and take on a PL project and a wholesale project at the same time, because you're just going to, it's too much to take on, and you're going to take your eye off your ball, and you're not going to be feeding your core business. So for sure, there's always interesting factors in all of them, and they are all good ways of making money. But yeah, choose your battles and take your time to grow, because you can always do the next one next year. If you can start with private label or start with wholesale and see that through and find some wholesale suppliers and bring them on and start getting accounts and putting that in your line, and now profiting from that, you can say, okay, that's working well. Maybe next year we're going to do the same thing, but with private label, and do it that way, so that you're managing it with your business and you're not getting overwhelmed by it, because that's not serving anyone. In fact, you're going to be going backwards if you end up doing that.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Super important focus for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, huge, absolutely huge. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned about myself in over the years of doing it is, you have a finite amount of concentration in a day, and sometimes it can be very difficult. I think we've all probably sat at our desks and really struggled to keep focus and keep concentrating on a particular task. And your mind is just like any part of your body. There is so much energy reserved to make it through what you're doing. And and if you take on too much, you're stretched too thin, you're just going to wear yourself out and you don't have enough energy to complete the task. And I've been sat in front of my computer sometimes just staring at the screen and just not being able to just get the engine started, because I've just sort of almost fizzled out on the mental energy. So what I personally tend to do to try and make sure that I'm as productive as I can is to firstly, the most important things for that day, I make sure I try and get them done first, get them out of the way, like the top 2 or 3 things, get cracking on them first. And so that way, if nothing else happens in the day, then I've got the most important things done. And then if I run out of concentration or energy in a certain thing, I've got other jobs that I can be doing, more manual tasks in the warehouse or something, that I can say, okay, I can't concentrate anymore. I'm going to do those other jobs that take less mental energy and have more physical energy. And that can help stimulate the mind as well. Because if you can go out and get some exercise, get some fresh air, physically move around, that often for me helps rejuvenate everything. So if I've been stuck in front of the desk for too long, just in front of a computer screen, and being also aware that you've lost that, because if you try and fight it, it's not going to make it any worse. You're just going to get slower and slower at your productivity, and it's pointless. So when I get to that stage and I think, I'm just, if it's about lunchtime, again, have some lunch or do something else, get a cup of tea or whatever, and then come back, or just do a different task, so you remain productive but in a different area. So when maybe you come back in the afternoon, you've still got some mental energy that you've been refreshed by doing something else, and maybe turning that part of your brain off and giving it a break, get on with something else and come back, maybe you're refreshed, and then sometimes it's like easy when you sit down and say, why was I struggling with this before? You just hit that roadblock at that time. So being self-aware about that and being sort of know when you're up against it, and not beating yourself up about it, because it's just human nature. Some days you might not have had as much sleep or whatever else like that. Some days it's harder, some days it's easier. Make use of that flow when it's all going well. If you're struggling, don't sort of keep beating your head up against a brick wall, because it's not going to actually get any better. You can't sort of power through those situations. Sometimes it's better to mix it up a bit, and try something else. Have you got any productivity tips? What do you do, Kev, if you're having one of those days and you just can't make it work? Have you got any things that you like to do? Get out the trampoline or something?
Yeah, you've seen the trampoline.
I've seen the trampoline. I know you got one.
Yeah, the trampoline's great. Honestly, guys, if you ever want to just change the way you feel at any moment, get yourself on a trampoline, because it's so much fun. Get a bit of music on and get on the trampoline, and it really gets you fired up again. But we all have, we're all human beings. Nobody, we're not robots. So we all have different times of the day when we're most productive. So that's where we're all unique. Like, some people are great first thing in the morning. Some people are night owls and they love to work at night. So I think experimenting is really, really key. I think experimenting and becoming aware of the way you feel, and like, if you jot down or whatever you can, like, let's say you experience a time where you're just like not motivated, or you're hitting a brick wall, like, take note of that, because it might be that it's like, I don't know, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that it always happens where you hit this like lull in the day, So I think one of the key things is, like you've just said, Andy, just being like self-aware of how you're feeling and what's happening during the day. Like, I know that, you know, obviously the way if you've had a good night's sleep, what you've eaten. I know for me, if I've not eaten very well, that affects the way you feel, obviously, as well. But the big things that's definitely helped me is proactively getting myself into a state where I actually look like I'm ready to wanting to go to work. So hence why I've done quite a lot of trying to do some sort of biohacking where I get myself on a trampoline, put my AirPods in, or get the Sonos on in the warehouse and just put that to full blast. And as silly as it sounds, put a bit of Rocky Balboa on, you know, and it sounds ridiculous. And when you're there, you're jumping up and down. But I tell you what, when you get off, you're ready to go. Like, you're ready to do something, and you've got that blood pumping. So that's definitely, that helps. I try to do that as often as I can. Obviously, I don't do that all the time, but I try to do it as often as I can. I'm very, very conscious in terms of productivity. I'm very conscious of the task that I'm doing and whether it's a growth-related task. I don't know why. I don't know. It's something to do with the knowing how valuable time really is. I think, like, for me, it's not a case like, for me, I certainly didn't like sourcing ever. And, you know, who does? But one thing that I just couldn't, it's like, it was draining energy from me. Like, I'm really focused on whatever task I'm doing. Is it like draining energy for me? Like, is it a chore to do it, or is it actually giving me energy? So like this right now, doing this with you, Andy, is fantastic. I love to do this. You know, it's nearly 8 o'clock at night and I love to do it. If I was right now having to deal with VAT return or check out my emails because the accountant's messaged me because he needs this figure or whatever, you know, that's a drag to me. So I think being very conscious of what you're doing and then it's a process of trying to outsource. Like, I'm not saying that you can outsource everything at once, because you can't. Like, it's a process. But a lot of the times you could potentially outsource something very, very inexpensively, even sometimes free, depending on, there's so many different tools and apps and things you can use nowadays. You know, you can utilize things to be more optimized. I know I'm right now, I'm trying to play a lot around with Alexa, like voice activated tools, just to see how that improves my productivity. Instead of like typing in my phone, I've got this meeting, just trying to get used to just talking and just a lot easier getting things done at the same time. But yeah, growth tasks versus maintenance tasks. That's where I sort of, one of the big key things I try to share. Like, whatever you're doing at any moment in the day, is it growth related or is it maintenance related? If it's maintenance related, then it's not going to grow your business. So you're going to have to put some type of system in place to get in there, to get that keep maintenance while you're growing. Apart from that, planning, obviously, you know, you've got to set some goals on what you want to achieve this month, and then just try to step one step forward every day, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also something I find that's really important for us who may be working on their own. I mean, you've got a big team these days, Kev, so you have probably a lot more interaction than I do. If you're someone who works on their own a lot of the time, is to break that up and make sure you spend time with your friends and your family and go out and plan that time, because when you're so focused on your business and you want to get to a place, you can easily work all the hours of the day to do that, and you don't get as much time for social interaction and stuff like that. And certainly for me, it's a massive thing. I have to make sure I have time to do that and meet up with my friends and you know, spend time with my family, because I'm literally reinvigorated by doing that, and it is so much more beneficial when I am working to have that time when I'm not working. So I think they say that all the greatest, most successful entrepreneurs in history plan their holidays before they plan their calendar. So they put in place all the holidays and the breaks and the good stuff first, and then they work around those major events, because it's important to them to have that time. So when you are working, you're at your most effective, because you've got that that you've got that contrast, and you can break it up with social interaction, having fun, relaxing, and spending time just like you've done last week, Kev. You know, I bet you're absolutely raring to go this week after having had a great time with the family last week.
Oh, definitely. Because you've got to reward yourself for the hard work that you're doing as well. Like, that's a key thing. Like, you know, I know there's many goals that we have. Like, you maybe want to quit your job, or you maybe want to get out in a warehouse, or you may want to do any type of sort of revenue figure, whatever it is. But set yourself some sort of reward type goals, like achievements. When you do hit it, then just try. Like, one of the things that I was discussing with the family while I was out, like, every 6 weeks, how amazing would it be? Work really hard for 6 weeks and then maybe have a week off somewhere. And then in the summer, flip it where you go away for 6 weeks instead. So, you know, we were just coming up with all sorts of what you've just mentioned there, like putting in different holidays. We were discussing around the table, just like having a drink, like, when should we have the holidays, and when should we do this, and when should we do that? And it's motivating. You've got to stop, of course.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, Kev, which is a big thing for me. If I have, I don't know if you can see this in my phone, if I have this much time to do a task, I'll take that much time. If I have this much time to do a task, that's how long it takes me as well. You know, it's very much that with me. So by compressing that time and saying, I tell you what, I want to do this, this, and this, I'm going to, instead of giving myself X amount of time, I'm going to do it in that time, and then all that's there. That's where I go and spend time with my family and do other things. And in the summer, that's how it flips around. In the winter, I don't want to be outside anyway, but I'm definitely an outside person. So I'm working hard more so in the winter and focusing on, you know, growing my business and really getting stuck into that. But at the same time, it flips around in the summer and it's much more of a lifestyle business. And I'm doing more things, you know, I'm out on the boat, or you know, jumping on the motorcycle, or spending time with my family, or traveling. Traveling's a big part of what I do as well. And then so it flips around. And I know that if I can do the work that I've got to do in less time, then I've got more time to do that. And that's the benefit of being you know, someone who works for themselves. You can decide how you do that. And I tell you, you get stuff done a lot quicker when the river's waiting for you and you've got a bottle of something cold ready to go. But then it's amazing how motivated you can be to do your work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to, you guys that are in the chat right now, I'd love to know some of your productivity ideas, because it's quite a great conversation to have on what people do, because I think a key thing is experimenting on what works for you, and some things are going to work, some things are not going to work. But I know the one thing that I must say here is, for me, there's always, you've got to get ahead, right? You've got to somehow work out how to get ahead, and a lot of the times to get ahead, it comes down to sacrificing. I know what you just said there about you've got to get out there with the family and the friends as well. But I genuinely, I don't know whether this is just because it's my message, like you got to take action. But I do believe that you've got to go through a period of sacrifice in your life to really get to the point where you then reap the benefits from what you've actually done. So so for what I remember from 2015 to 17, definitely for the first 2 years, whenever I wanted to really get ahead, right? Let's say, for example, I'm trying to build my business, and just, you know what it's like every day, like there's always those things that you really want to do. There's little projects that you've got on and you never get into them because you're being pulled for, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And you never progress in any projects, those growth projects along. Well, what I started doing is what I call my evening projects. Basically, it was like kids and Kylie's gone to bed. It's 10 o'clock. Now I'm up. 10 o'clock till 2 a.m. I've got 4 fixed hours. I'm now all in, and I'm gonna get ahead here in this moment. And I know it's not something that you can sustain over a long period of time, but I can guarantee you right now, anybody here watching this, you, Andy, if you really wanted to get ahead with a project or something, you could probably, what I was doing, at least 3 nights a week, not like consecutively, not like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I was doing like Monday night, Wednesday night, and then a Friday and a Saturday night, just putting in those extra 12 hours to get ahead. And it would be fascinating on how quickly you get ahead, because you're now progressing, and it's specifically designed to do some growth related. Like, don't just don't just catch up on your email during that time, because that's going to put you to bed. Do you know what I mean? You've got to come up with some sort of project. So even if it is private label, right, it could be you do that. Past everything else, you're maintaining your business. Like Andy's been saying, it's key to maintain your core business. But now you're going to get ahead at night with something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point to mention. You know, I've been growing my business for, gross 10 years, from between eBay and Amazon. It's been a 10-year growth stage. So I'm at that point where I've got a good base, and I can then switch the tables a bit and make sure I have more of a lifestyle when I can. But, that was built on spending an awful lot of time researching, an awful lot of late nights and early mornings going through that, and growing the business and to the point where it is now. So you can't have a lifestyle business and have that time where you do whatever you like and have massive growth in your business. You can't do both. There has to be seasons, as you say. There has to be seasons of faster, more busier work, like I tend to spend in the winter when there are more times where I'm going to be inside anyway. So I'm doing that. I'm being more intense in these times and pushing and getting ahead and getting things done. And then once that's happening and the results are paying off for my business later on in the year, and that's the time when the weather's better, that's the time where I want to travel, when I want to be outside and be with my family, be with my friends, and spend more time doing that whilst my business is still working for me at the same time. It doesn't stop. It continues working whilst I'm doing that. I'm just not actively growing at that moment whilst I'm out enjoying the fruits of my labor. But you can't have it both ways. There has to be a time.
And that's what I did. Like, for those, at least for those first 2 years, what I was doing during those times, especially when it comes to your Amazon business, that's the times where you can create a mind map. Like, you can't do that in the middle of the day. You've got so much going on all the time. That's the time where you can maybe create a mind map, or you can, you can get ahead with splitting up the business and how would you see your business running in 12 months. And you can get a bit of an idea of what positions you'd have and how the process would go. And I spent sort of a good few weeks, especially when I first quit the job in 2016, early 2016, for the first 3 months, I was just like sort of coming up with like systems and like processes, like how would we do this task? And I'd just create a document like at nighttime on how I see that, how I see it working. And then in the morning, I'd pass it to my team leader and go, could you follow this and tell me if you can get to the result that I want? And then he'd get back to me at dinner time the next day and go, this didn't work or that did work. And then I'd go back and update it. And that I would never be able to create like the documents and the things that really get you ahead just in the middle of the day. I've got like, I've got a lot of us, we've got work, we've got family lives, we've got friends, we've got notifications of your phone, you've got things to do, you've got things that come up. And so, and it could work in the morning for you. It depends. I'm more of a night person. That's all. Yeah. Like, I prefer to go to bed later. I couldn't say to you now, do you know what? I'm going to set my alarm for 2 a.m. and wake up at 2 a.m. to do this project. I'd just stay in bed.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. It takes me longer in the morning to get going and wake up a little bit. So I have some more of my sort of everyday chores that I do first thing in the morning, because I know it will take a little while before my brain's sparking on all cylinders for me personally. But exactly the same as you. In the evenings, I have a lot more focus, and so I do. I would tend to do it that way around. If I have some long-term stuff to do, I'm up in the evenings and pushing through until that's done. And if I am on a roll, then I'll still work until 2 in the morning, because I've learned that when you're in that flow state and it's working, you're focused and it's going really well, don't interrupt it. If that happens to be at lunchtime and you're going really well, I won't stop for lunch. I'll keep going if I'm in that state, because sometimes when you've had lunch and you come back, it's harder to get back into that situation. So quite often, it takes a bit to get in there and get in that perfect zone. But when I'm in the zone, then I'm staying in the zone for that. So that's the same reason, because if you're being productive, it's important to make use of that time.
Oh, definitely. Great to see you, Sean. Sean joined. Yeah, didn't get a notification from YouTube. I don't know fully what's going on there. We will definitely try to correct it.
Yeah.
I do apologise there, Sean. And you come in to Lincoln on the 6th of April. Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing you there. And he asks, great question, this one, Sean. 10 years, Andy. How many years did it take Andy until he left his employed job to do this full time?
That is a good question. Yeah, well, it was a bit different for me because back then I've been doing this for a while, and back then it was kind of a different scenario. I started it part-time, very much as a hobby, but I've been doing it for a long time. The information wasn't available back then. There wasn't really any YouTube. I don't know whether YouTube had started. It might have done, but there wasn't really anything going on. My first videos were in Google Video before YouTube started up. That's where I put my first videos up. And certainly there wasn't a social media community available then. So there was a lot less communication, a lot less instruction. I started very slowly because I didn't have anyone to model, and I didn't have any sort of known benchmarks to start with and then move forward. So I probably spent a good sort of 4 years part-time just in my evenings and as a hobby, learning how to sell on eBay at the time and figuring that whole process out and testing and tweaking and tracking, because there was nowhere else to be able to learn that. So I figured that all out on my own, and now you could probably have done that same work in 3 to 6 months because of all the data and information that's on the internet. So, you know, that took me a lot longer to get to that stage. But yeah, when you say how long, how many years did it take until you left employed? I'd probably say back then I was really ramping it up to the point where about probably between a year and 2 years, to the point where I was sort of just confident doing that. But I was in my early 20s when I was working for the last time doing that. Yeah, it's been a long time ago. So yeah, it's yeah, it was a weird thing for me because, like I said, I just literally had to figure it out. So I'm absolutely sure if I had my time again now, it would have been a much quicker introduction and changeover for me, because I would be able to ramp up and make use of the information that's now available through YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. It just, that information was just not available. There was less people doing it, and the people that were doing it weren't able to communicate with each other very well and share ideas and knowledge and stuff. So that's just a different time. But you know, that's the beauty of what we have now. We can all help each other out and interact and learn from each other. You know, we all have different skill sets, and it's been amazing for me to interact with people in the last sort of 3 to 5 years, so much more than I ever did, and learn from people like Kev with his own unique set of skills. And it's been, yeah, it's been great for my business. And obviously
you sounded like you sounded like Liam Neeson then from Taken.
A unique set of skills. I will find you.
I will find you.
Yeah, that's it. So Kev does have a unique set of skills. So if you do see him at Lincoln, just be very careful. Just understand he has a unique set of skills. But
huge respect for you, Andy, because you know, this I figured this month it's actually well, late last month. It's been 3 years since I've been out of my job, so it's been a great 3 years. But for somebody like yourself who's been doing this for over a decade now, you know, you mentioned Google Video. Then I'm like, what the hell's that?
That was a thing. Yeah, that was an actual thing. Before they bought YouTube, they had a Google Video. It wasn't that good.
Nah, but yeah, I mean, I can only, even the tools that we've got nowadays. When I started 3 years ago, some of the tools that we use now weren't available then. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
I can only imagine, you know, what it was like when you were just literally trying to figure this out without communities like this that would share the knowledge and share insights and how things have been done. So yeah, fascinating story, Andy. I think you should write a book.
Yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it? It might take me another 10 years to write it, but you never know. It'd be good when I finished it. God, Chris said he's watched my first videos, Andy. Oh God, they would have probably been quite bad. I would have looked a lot younger, I imagine, Chris, back then. but yeah. Chris has been a long time sort of supporter of the community. He's been around for a long time himself, and yeah, he's done really well for himself and built a very good business as well, which I'm proud to see. Chris go strength to strength. That's the benefit of being around for a while. You develop these relationships and watch people grow. It's a very nice way to be able to watch people sort of do well in their own businesses. So,
yeah, absolutely, and it was a pleasure to meet Chris myself, and I must give Chris a shout out as well, because he's been doing fantastic, building his Facebook group and his YouTube channel, like top man. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Arbitrage Superstars, definitely one to go to if you want to learn a lot about the business and some insights. So good shout for Chris.
Yeah, give him a sub when you get the chance, for sure. Alrighty, so we've just got a few more comments down here. What does it say? Sean said, "I want to make this big enough so I never have to go back to low pay employment, in a good position today than I was a year ago. Brexit is stopping me from leaving altogether. What if sales slow down?" Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about Brexit, Sean. I mean, there's always that what if factor, but I just don't see how it will actually cause an issue for us in the short term. If you, for instance, had a very big business in Europe and a massive part of your sales came from specifically from Germany or something, and then they cut that off because they're changing the rules on how the sales are processed, then I could see you'd be thinking, I'm not sure about how this is going to go. In terms of the UK, commerce will go on. If you had a physical company where you had to ship items on lorries across the channel into Europe on a regular basis, you may be disrupted. It may be slower. It may take a while to transfer over before we get back to a normal working practice. But, the day will rise and the morning will go on and the day will go on, and everyone will still want to buy the same stuff as we did before. And, just because we're not part of the European Union will not change everyday life. I'm absolutely confident about that. So obviously we're so close now. It's definitely worth seeing how that goes. And if you want to wait a few more months to consolidate your position and get a bit more money behind you, then absolutely. But don't be too worried. You don't want to be in a position where you put it off and put it off and put it off, because we could still be messing around with the whole Brexit thing for another 2 years potentially. Who knows what that whole thing is going to go. So don't be too hung up on it. Be sensible and put contingencies in place. But I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think once we're clear of it and we're back to a normal situation, everyone will wonder what all the fuss was about. Personally, I think it will be okay. I don't think we've got anything to worry about. What do you think, Kev?
Well, what I keep coming back to all the time, and this is another Jim Rohn quote, because I just love that guy. I think he's from a foundational point of life for you to think about scenarios like Brexit, for example. Jim Rohn's a really great person to come to, because he'll say things in his way that allows you to see things at a different perspective. So one of the things that he used to say was, just with anything in life, especially Brexit, there's going to be opportunity mixed with difficulty. There's going to be things that come, like opportunities that arise. Who knows? Your sales may absolutely explode, in terms of like, they may grow instead of fall, just because something happens where now, I don't know, they come up with some type of better trade agreement, or the fees to Europe are not as high, or there could be many scenarios what happens. So you're thinking like, what if sales fall? Why not ask what if sales go up? And do you know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be things. There's always going to be what if this bad, what if this good. So there's always going to be difficulty mixed with opportunity. So it's a case of just being aware that entrepreneurship and doing this, like, takes guts. It takes as high as the reward is, the sacrifice is there too, right? So I can only speak from my own personal journey. I quit my electrical engineering position, risk super high. I quit my job. I quit my first class degree, engineer for 6 months, quit. So it's super high, the risk, but the reward matches it. So it's so much more. Do you see what I mean? So I would always, the more you want out of life, the more you've got to give, and the more challenging times you've got to go through. So just with Brexit as well, like there's going to be time during this whole thing that happens with Brexit. There's going to be things that work well for us. There's going to be things that don't work well for us. And it's just our responsibility just to be aware of it. Don't be like it's easy to say don't be afraid of it, but just try to focus proactively on what you do control. Because at the end of the day, if I was sat here right now scared that my Amazon account would be shut down, you're never going to get. You're going to live your life in fear. You're never going to get any proactive work done. So, opportunity mixed with difficulty. Jim Rohn quote. Please do check him out. He will definitely help you see things maybe in a different way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Check him out. He's got some great stuff on Audible to listen to if you're an Audible subscriber. I've listened to a lot of stuff on Kev's advice and found it absolutely fascinating and really useful. So yeah, definitely. Rohn, I think, isn't it? That's how you pronounce spell his last name. Rohn. Yeah. So yeah, check him out for sure. Really good. You won't regret it for sure.
All right. And he was just to add, he was one of the he was one of the mentors for Tony Robbins himself. So a lot of what Tony shares nowadays, he has you can see the lessons that he learned from Jim Rohn. So check him out, definitely.
Yeah, I'd definitely agree with that. And guys, yeah, we're over the hour mark now, so we'll probably start wrapping it up. But if you found anything in this video helpful, useful, inspiring, give it a thumbs up. Now we're on YouTube. That'd be very handy to get the word out there. And if you want to share it and do any of that sort of good stuff, or subscribe to the channel, it's going to make life a lot easier for us to get the word out there and let everyone know about Match Don't Snatch and all the other things that we're doing. Might have to find a different hashtag. I'm not sure about that one, but
we'll get that trending on Twitter.
Yeah, put a comment below if you're interested in National Match the Buy Box Day from the Reseller Show.
Yeah,
maybe we'll make t-shirts.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well, I really appreciate your time on a Monday evening, and I hope the show continues to be a part of your weekly conversation. It's a great. I love to do this format. It's very relaxed. It's great to hang out and to meet some like-minded individuals. So any thumbs up that we get, any comments and any shares, then obviously we're very, very appreciative of you guys.
Absolutely. It's great just to hang out. It's like a small family, sort of to hang out every week and just discuss what's going on and try and help each other out is just a good way to spend an hour. That's for sure. But thanks, Kev, for joining us again. I'm glad you had a great break last week, and yeah, I look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Yeah. Good night, guys. See you again.
See you. Bye.